Hey there, Inclination fans, Cola here, and I'm here with Pause for the Cause. And Pause seems to think that revolution's not the answer, seasteading is. Now, Mike is going to let us know why seasteading isn't raping the ocean, but it's the answer. Let us know why that is, Mike.
Well, there's a lot of questions there, but I think for starters, we've basically come to the point where, at least in the United States and most societies, they're very fractured. It's hard to get a lot of people to agree on anything. The United States population is over 300 million people at this point, so any real political change is almost impossible with this many differing points of view. We need to have smaller forms of government that we can experiment with. And unfortunately, there's no area left in the world where we can do that on land, because every piece of land in the world is claimed by some government. So unfortunately, that leaves us with the oceans. And that's where seasteading comes in. Sea and homesteading is where the word seasteading comes from. So basically, homesteads on the sea. In the beginning, it's going to be very similar to like a cruise ship that's, for all intents and purposes, its own little country. At first, they won't be able to be that far out in the ocean. They'll be outside the territorial limit of any country, which is 12 miles on the international law. And at first, they'll have to have a ferry service, running back and forth with the country that they're closest to. Blue Seas, going to be one of the first seasteads. They're going to go park their ship 12 miles off the coast of San Francisco, Half Moon Bay specifically, and run a ferry back and forth. And they have a very specific purpose where they're going to address the concern of the lack of visas that are available to immigrants that are trying to do high-tech startups, in the Silicon Valley area. So, we have a lot of potential. We can experiment with a lot of different things. A seastead could be a libertarian environment. It could be theoretically a socialist environment. There's a lot of experimentation that you could do on the ships, and eventually they'll move on to more permanent structures like abandoned oil rigs or, structures that are built from scratch. But the key thing to get at is, when I say seasteads are the answer, it's a lot easier to build from the ground up, a new government than try and change the existing one. So, like I said, the seasteads will start with a small business-driven purpose. Like, for instance, Blue Sea will, address a need for people to have visas that they're not able to get now because there's such a small limit on how many we get out every year. But in the future, it'll be more people will want to start a new country, a new government, and see what actually works for them. So when I say the answer is we can't do these experiments in the current environment where we're in America. We follow the Constitution. We have to work within that Constitution, but a seastead would be able to start from scratch and make the laws basically from scratch. It's a completely different way of government of what we're used to now.
Yes, we are in America, but once we are seasteading, we will no longer be in America. We will be in the ocean. And my question for you is, will these seasteaders be able to bring their animals?
Yes, I believe they will for the most part. I think, within limits, of course, bigger animals won't fare so well.
So no pet elephants?
Right.
Or giraffes?
I'm thinking,
no seasteading zoos?
I'm thinking, no animal more than 20 pounds is going to fare well on these things. But it depends how big they are. But, it's ships in tight quarters. And, I can't imagine you want to have too many pets on such a vessel.
Well, these are horrible things anyway. I'm happy to hear that that won't be existing 20 miles offshore.
Yeah, no doubt, at least from what Blue Sea, like I said, as far as we've come with Seastead, many people have estimated the ability to bring pets in.
Now, another Twitter user had brought something up about UN sanctions and seasteading. Now, is there any truth behind that?
Well, maritime law, you know, being what it is, there's no universal law that everyone agrees to, but there's some general principles that, for the most part, everyone is on board with. For instance, the territorial limit is 12 miles. Within that, that's basically part of the country in question. From 12 miles to 200, you know, that's the exclusionary zone. After that, 200.
All right, thanks, Mike. That's about all the time we have for this evening. I'm Cola, and Cola was here, and this is Mike. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time. Have a good evening. Cheers.